Road and into the garage. Now the field in the hands of the 22 of Joey Logano. Green flags in the air. Martin Truex Jr. up the racetrack. The 24 is going to take advantage of it. Tries to get into the inside.
How about Ryan Blaney with a nice move to get into second?
Still hung out on the outside, the 11 of Denny Hamlin. Trying to find a way in. The fastest way around the track, right along the curbing.
The cars drive awful right now. They're very low heat in the tires, low air pressure. At Martinsville, it's hard to get going. This first 3 or 4 laps after a start or a restart is very difficult.
Logano, Blaney, Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, and Clint Bowyer. Currently the top 5 as Denny Hamlin finally is able to slide in right behind the 14 of Bowyer.
And you instantly see why we talk patience here, riding on board with the 4 of Kevin Harvick. You know, he's not running the laps as fast as he can run. With traffic, it's all about patience. You can only get in the gas as hard as the car in front of you. So as he follows his teammate Kurt Busch, a little bit of patience right here back to the gas, trying to turn underneath him and complete a pass.
Obviously, Eric Almirola is stuck on the outside.
Look at how tight this is up front. Ryan Blaney's been putting the bumper to the back of the 22 of Logano. We'll see how long the patience lasts with the 21. And again, right up to the bumper, the 22 of Logano. There, the 78 look to the inside of Blaney.
You can see why it's so difficult to pass here. It looks like the 21 of Blaney may be a little quicker than Joey Logano. Watch him roll the middle of the corner. Actually gains on him, but that doesn't help him because the 22 slows the 21 down in the middle of the corner, and then he gets away from him on corner exit. So if you can't beat a guy on corner exit, it's almost impossible to pass.
And Jeff, an interesting dichotomy here because you have Ryan Blaney, who's in the playoffs, Martin Truex Jr., who's in the playoffs, but Joey Logano, who is not. Remember, they had that win earlier this year at Richmond. They were basically disqualified from the race afterwards because of an infraction that NASCAR found. So they, in essence, do not have a win this year. So a win at Martinsville today to Joey Logano would mean everything. For these guys behind him means it would mean a ticket to Miami to race for a championship.
Well, Jeff, you talked about traffic. Traffic and passing isn't just an issue up here for the lead or the second or third place position. How about the 9-time Martinsville winner, Jimmy Johnson, had to go to the back of the field. Well, he's all the way up to just 29th. You would expect at a wider racetrack he would pass 4 or 5 cars, perhaps a lap in the early laps. Not here at Martinsville. He's been kind of boxed in. This is the first lap he's really had any clear track, and now they're at least single file in front of him where he could try to take advantage of it.
Catch all the action of NASCAR on NBC with the NBC Sports app. You get closer with alternate camera angles, driver stats, and track information. You can get it anytime, anywhere. Still out front, Joey Logano, 26 laps in the books, coming up on 27 here that he will have led. Again, a competition caution coming at lap 45. And now his teammate, Brad Keselowski, is running back in the 4th position. Let's listen in on spotter communication from the 2.
Both guys are bottom extreme. Larson tight behind you. Has the shallow diamond to get the good of running the center and off. I'm not sure if something changed, but when I mentioned what the 42 was doing, we just took off. We moved up just a touch in the center, and it really gave us drive to the 11.
That was spotter coverage presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less.
Once again, spotters doing a great job of communicating and just letting Brad Keselowski know that some drivers have started to use a little more racetrack in the middle of the corner. That's what Joey Meyer told Brad Keselowski, and when he did that, he started coming. And right now, Keselowski has picked up 5 spots, and he has the fastest car on the racetrack.
And Jeff, he's been the fastest car on the racetrack for about the last 5 or 6 laps. They have moved up a little bit, but he's also gone low to pass cars as well. Talked to Brad right before he climbed in the car. He said, this competition caution actually kind of hurts us a little bit. He said, lap 30 and on. That's where my car takes off. I just need a little while to get my car running. And Jeff, you've been in this situation at Martinsville before where sometimes it takes a while to get your momentum, get your car going in the right direction. Brad's certainly one of those drivers who's better on the long run here at the Paperclip.
Yeah, Marty, I think this racetrack may be one of the tracks that you see that the most, where you'll see a car take off and be really fast, but then can't run good on the long runs, and the vice versa. You heard, Keselowski's report was that his car was better on long runs, Steve. And if you're going to have a pick, that's what I want at Martinsville. It seems like you get a fair amount of long runs here.
Yeah, that's the idea, but how do you take care of your car? How do you make a car better on long runs? I think the 41 of Kurt Busch has the best camera to show how you do that. We're going to take a peek inside this 41 car and look at his foot and see how his feet work. The left side's working the brake right here, and you see it has a lot more finesse than you think, Rick. He's just not stomping on the brake pedal. He kind of gives it a nice hard shot into the corner right here. But now look how softly he kind of comes off the brake. And then the right side of this is his throttle. And everyone has to run a throttle stop, which actually stops the pedal from over traveling. That's this area right here. We notice now there's a gap between the pedal and that stop. And then watch as he slowly goes to the throttle. Right there, he was never against the stop. So he's running part throttle there, letting the 5 car go, but also saving rear tire. Dave?
Steve, he's lost a couple of spots since the start of the race, and the main reason being at the 3/4 mark of the corner, he describes the car as swinging loose. He'll be happy for that lap 45 competition caution.
I don't think that's a bad problem to have in this race at this time, though, Rick, because we keep talking about this concrete surface and how the rubber will be put down. Oh, we got a caution. We got the 13 around and the 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Ty Dillon in 13 around in turn 2.
Fired up here.
Lap 35, competition caution not scheduled until lap 45.
See some damage on the front of Ty Dillon's car, the left front nose area. You're running 25th and 27th. 13th was running 25th. See the 13 car kind of up the racetrack a little bit, and it's Michael McDowell, I believe. They made contact.
Field approaching the Geico restart zone here at Martinsville, and they bottle up right behind that lead row, and it was a Penske front row, but Logano able to jump out in front of the two from that high line. But we saw him bottle up about 4 or 5 rows back.
Logano looked like he just did not go. He was in the restart zone when he went, but it looked like everybody was anticipating that he was going to go early, and it just stacked everybody up.
Logano able to jump out in front of the two of Brad Keselowski. Now the 21 trying to hold off the 18. We had mentioned when he came off pit road that Kyle Busch had made up 5 spots on pit road. Kyle Busch has led the last 15 races. That is a record for consecutive races led. Now he wants to continue to add to that. He's working his way toward the front in the top 5. And it's side-by-side for position between Blaney and Kyle Busch.
How about Chase Elliott in that 24 car? He saw a hole behind the 78. He just hung a left, trying not to get hung out on the outside.
Well, one thing I noticed is, as you mentioned, that restart stacked up. The nose of the 24 has some damage. Now, I don't think it'll affect the handling of the race car, but, you just never know how these radiators are mounted. So now you can see right there the lower grill's kind of smashed in. So where is that bumper bar in relative to the radiator now? Is something closed up? Is there now something rubbing? Or is it just very close where the next contact might actually break the radiator? So those are the things you got to watch through the course of 500 laps here.
Steve, that damage happened very, very early in this race, and Chase asked the team to look at it, and they said it looked good. So right now I haven't heard any more conversation about it.
Out front, Brad Keselowski has taken the lead away from Joey Logano. And still, the 18 and the 21 fighting for the 3rd position, side by side.
Now the 21 is stuck on the top, and this is kind of what happens, right, Jeff? So now 18 has got the 21 up a lane. The 78 is going to do all he can to follow the 18, to fill that bottom lane. Chase Elliott will then do the same. Once you get a guy out of the preferred groove, you try to keep that line coming on the bottom.
The sole mission right now, the spotter on the 21 car, is to get him down. If there's a hole behind the 18, let him know that so he can slide in behind the 18. But Martin Truex Jr. is not having anything to do.
Jimmy, even though he has dominated in the win column, doesn't lead the majority of the race. They just always seem to be making the right decisions, Rick, on chassis setup is now we have the 38 backwards in turn 4.
David Reagan is around and going the wrong direction right now. He's just trying to get it turned back around. He's going to back up onto the curb.
And with this quick yellow, Rick, I think the leaders are going to have to start really making decision on tires. They have 8 sets of tires in the pits. They've all used a set, so all the leaders have 7 sets left. This was a good shot at what happened to 38. He's kind of sideways coming into the picture.
Yeah, you see the 17 way up the racetrack. Wonder if the 38 of Reagan was trying to make a move on corner entry.
But $2, Rick, I don't know if you can get a better hot dog. And Jeff Burton found out on Twitter, the only way to get these is loaded.
Thank you, Rudd. That is definitely one of the trademarks of Martinsville Speedway. And that restart very tight again on the front row.
Interesting, though, that Brad Keselowski on the top of the racetrack seems to be making it work. This is better than I think we've seen in races past here.
Does complete the move around the 22 of Logano from that high line, and now the 18 is trying to make that high line work as he gets in front of the 21.
I think he's going to make it work. A good launch off turn 2 got him in front of the 21.
And Keselowski moves up the racetrack. Here comes Logano on his inside. Elliott outside of Ryan Blaney. The outside line has worked a few times on restarts. Not only for those at the front in row 1 on the restart, but for those a couple rows back. They've been able to, we saw it out of Ryan Blaney as he worked so diligently to get around the 18.
See just a little bit of contact with the 78 to 21. It's no damage done to the cars, but you get worried about the sidewall of these tires. They cut when you run into each other. We've seen so many times tires go down because of that. But how about the 21? He was on the bottom battling Chase Elliott, had what you thought was a preferred line. Chase Elliott got a good run, slowed the 21 down, then the 78 took advantage of it. So this outside lane is working today.
Just for your bank here, Blaney was able to get by the 18. He stayed side by side for those 10 laps and was able to get around him using that high line.
He's up on the high line now. That was spotter coverage presented by Liberty Mutual Insurance, helping drivers worry less. Or is it surprising to you, Jeff, to see these guys almost give the guy behind them that inside line?
Well, see, Joey Logano, he gave a little bit of a shove to the 2 cars. His teammate, listen, Joey Logano's not in the playoffs. He doesn't care. He's here to win this race. And yes, I am surprised that the outside has come in this quick. Side-by-side battle for the lead.
How about the fact that 2 Fords running up front? It's been 29 races, only 1 win in those 29 races that Ford has been able to find victory lane. Marty?
And Joey Meyer told Brad Keselowski, listen, you're running side by side there. The 18's only a couple car lengths back. Make sure you fill that gap, so you let the 22 go. But Jeff, I'm wondering, from your vantage point, are you surprised these Team Penske cars are racing each other pretty hard here? There's been no deals on restarts to let this other guy in and be nice on these restarts. They're running each other pretty hard. In fact, the 22 made contact with the 2 a couple of times, battling for the lead.
So he knows he is now within sight of 10th place of stage points. So that right now is all that's on Jimmy Johnson's mind. How do I get here? He clearly has run this pack down 1 car at a time, still have 44 laps. You can get into the top 10. Caution off turn 2.
And A.J. Allmendinger's involved. The 27 of Paul Menard had to check up. A lot of damage, though, to the 47 of Allmendinger as he will come to pit road before it's open. Jimmy Johnson has chosen the outside line for the restart. Casey Kane on the inside of row 1.
Kyle Busch beat all those off pit road that pitted. He started out in 9th, has the freshest tires.
We'll see how he does if he makes up some ground quickly. More than likely, he'll make up quite a bit of ground on the 5 of Casey Kane. He hasn't been to pit road since lap 38. That competition caution, the first caution that came out. Oldest tires on the track.
Mission patience. And Kyle Busch right now knows he has the best tires, but you can't just drive through people. You've got to let your tires come up. You've got to wait to take advantage of it. You can see a lot of cars piling up into each other.
The accordion effect. Everyone trying to grab real estate.
Well, this is the cycle. We heard it on the radio of Brad Keselowski. Hey, when I get cycled off from the front, at some point we'll be cycled. Remind me, try to keep the nose on this car.
Corey LaJoie in that 23 car right there underneath the 18, doing a nice job.
Trying to hang on to that spot. Saw Brad Keselowski dive in under the 18.
And it was everything against Kyle Busch's knowledge to jump on the outside and pass a car on the outside. That's just not what you do at Martinsville. But with this outside lane coming in, that's exactly what he did. He jumped on the outside and actually pushed the issue and passed LaJoie by using that. It's just not something you're accustomed to doing because normally there's not enough grip up there to make it work.
Now he's going to go by 37 of Buescher. Again, Buescher didn't come to pit road, one of those cars that stayed out.
Yeah, on the left side of your screen, you see the 88. He was like the last car to come to pit road, trying to gain back that track position. He's also making that top lane work that you talked about, Jeff. And here it is, the view from the helmet cam, running the top of the racetrack at Martinsville.
Currently 19th, trying to get 18th away from Ryan Newman. There's Kevin Harvick on his inside.
I mean, typically you would think that, you know, what Dale Jr. is hoping for is to try to clear the 4 of Kevin Harvick and then turn left and get in front of him to get in that bottom lane. But look at the speed Dale Earnhardt Jr. carries into the corner. He actually clears the 4 car getting in, and that's, again, I know I've said it 100 times, but it is so unusual to be able to use this outside line. Now what they're doing is they're essentially racing to that 23 because the 23 is backing up. Of course, LaJoie does not have the speed, so the first one to him probably gets by him, and you can see they're going to line up underneath Dale Jr. He's going to get caught behind the 23. Nope, make it 3 wide.
3 wide at Martinsville.
He's going to make it work in that car they call the Gray Ghost, made famous by Buddy Baker. And I love how Junior feels about this paint scheme. He wanted so bad to run it last year, finally getting to run it. His quotes about it, it was his favorite paint scheme of all time in the sport. That is huge. And he reminded us that Buddy was a giant guy. He said it wouldn't have been nearly as cool with a guy only 4'10".
7 are all in the top 10.
Under 2 laps to go. Now the final lap. Side by side. Elliott on the inside and the 78. Truex Jr. on the outside. Again, every point matters. Brad Keselowski, as he comes through 3 and 4, he's going to see the green and white checkered flag. Keselowski will win stage 1. And look at that battle. Truex Jr. edges out to 24 of Chase Elliott. Keselowski, Kyle Busch, Logano, Johnson, Truex. Busch on the inside, Brad Keselowski on the outside. Green flag back in the air. Inside work for Kyle Busch. He's able to stay out front. Now we'll see if Logano is going to get by his teammate. And then it's teammates side by side behind them, the 24 and 48. Keselowski holding strong on that outside line. He makes the pass, and Keselowski will hold on to the second spot. Logano drops back to 3rd. Marty on the road. Difficult to clear cars when it's a matter of inches here at Martinsville.
Yeah, they're racing side by side in front of you. Keselowski's going to try to jump up on the outside of Busch and push the issue. Now he turns underneath him, trying to make it 3 wide.
For the lead, and on the outside, Kyle Busch trying to get by Danica Patrick.
This is that time in the race, though, Rick. We haven't even seen 200 laps completed, so they need to just understand that lap traffic is going to be a struggle all day long. I mean, I know the 18 and the 2 don't have the best history together, but continue to work together, not giving each other an inch, but at no point do you want to damage your race car with so much racing left.
I think when you see a lap car and you have 2 lap cars racing side by side as a driver, you view that as an opportunity. If you're Keselowski, you say, hey, there's an opportunity for me to use one of these cars as a pick to try to get in front of the 18 and get that lead. 18 in the back of the 6 of Trevor Bayne a little bit.
Kyle trying to work his way around the lap traffic. 16 straight races. I had mentioned earlier about 15 straight. The longest Cup Series streak of active drivers since Jeff Gordon back with 19 races in a row. So 16 races in a row for Kyle Busch, and only 3 races remain. He could tie that record. Right now he's trying to stay out in front of Brad Keselowski.
Jeff, I know in the first stage you had mentioned that Kevin Harvick was the one playoff driver not looking to get stage points. Well, currently 7 of the top 8 all playoff drivers. Only Joey Logano in 4th, the non-playoff driver, and then you have Denny Hamlin, the 8th playoff driver, who's recovering slowly from that speeding penalty, who's battled back into 19th. Marty?
Steve, we got to watch Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch duke it out for the win here in April at Martinsville, so looks like it might happen that way again today. Kyle, pretty happy with the handling of the 18 car. Take a listen on the radio.
Denny Hamlin, who is currently, well, he's 1 car away from being the last car on the lead lap. That's Ryan Newman in the 31, who's the last car on the lead lap.
Well, Rick, as you said, trying to stay on the lead lap, it took me right back to this race in the spring. The 17 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the 18 of Kyle Busch. This was really one of the first big shakeups we've seen because of stage racing. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. going a lap down. He runs the 18 up the racetrack here, coming to the end of the stage. You're going to see right here the battle. Well, here it is, the big shot from the 17. Up he goes. 17 turns underneath him. Ends up costing Kyle Busch the stage win. The 24 of Chase Elliott got it. But as Kyle Busch is now, he's lapping the 31 of Ryan Newman. As he gets around some of these faster cars, what will they be willing to do to try to stay on the lead lap with only 31 laps to go?
Don't think for a minute that Kyle Busch in that 18 car knows that he's going to have to battle that 11 car for the championship. But if you see a guy in the playoffs in front of you that you can put a lap down, that is your goal. You want to do everything you can. I don't care if he's a teammate. I don't care about that. All I know is I'm competing against him for a championship. If I can put him a lap down, that is an advantage to me.
So Denny Hamlin is actually a mere few feet in front of the 18 of Kyle Busch, and Hamlin will try to fight to stay on the lead lap. We'll see how much his teammate gives him that opportunity.
Look at the different approaches. Look how the 11 car is up the racetrack. The 18 right on that curve rolls the center of the corner so much faster than the 11. Lap traffic will play a huge role whether the 18 can get by the 11 or not.
And right now, they're in it heavy. Again, the 11 of Denny Hamlin is the last car. The
Hey, guys, look behind them. The 22 car is coming quickly as well, and Joey Meyer just reminded Brad Keselowski of that, and he said, don't worry about that stuff in front of you. The 22 is about to catch you for second. You worry about what's in front of you. I'll worry about what's behind you.
And so it is heating up now. Just under 4 laps to go from Martinsville in stage 2. The fight to stay on the lead lap, that's Denny Hamlin. The fight to stay in the lead, that is Kyle Busch. He is challenged once again by Brad Keselowski in the 2. Keselowski looked to the outside that time. Fight for 4th on the right side of the screen between Martin Truex Jr. and Chase Elliott. Here comes the 2, looking to the inside of the 18 now for the lead. And will the 5 of Casey Kane slow down the 18 enough? That time by, Keselowski was scored as the leader with 2 laps to go. Keselowski has made the pass and back out front. And into the curb, the 2 hits the curb. The 18 pressuring Keselowski. The 22 into the wall. Austin Dillon took the 22 into the wall. They stay going the same direction. Final lap of stage 2. Keselowski trying to sweep the first 2 stages in Martinsville. Through 3 and 4, Keselowski's going to do it. Keselowski wins stage 2. Kyle Busch easily clearing Keselowski, and now here comes Martin Truex Jr. in the 78 working that inside line.
78 Martin Truex Jr., not known as a short track racer. His numbers are nowhere near as impressive as they are at the mile-and-a-half tracks, but done a nice job all day, just kind of hanging around that top 3, top 5, Rick.
Logano trying to work that outside line. And that's interesting to say here at Martinsville.
Yeah, it is.
Trying to work that outside line. We've seen it many times work today. Keselowski is making it work.
And how about the young drivers back there still running together? The 24, Chase Elliott, the 21, Ryan Blaney. They've been together all day long, but they had the kind of days that they need to have. Smooth, calm, uneventful days for these 2 drivers.
And again, into this final stage, 226 laps to go. They will have to come to pit road for fuel. Tires they'll be screaming for as well. That pit went to over 150 laps though, Steve.
Yeah, you can go 150 laps on fuel. We just saw about 121 lap green flag run, so we know the tires can make it that far, but as you mentioned, I'm not sure any drivers out there love the set of tires that were still in their race car, just worn out and very little grip.
How about Denny Hamlin? He's worked himself up into 10th position right now. Again, I don't want to overemphasize it, but that drive that Denny Hamlin had the penalty, had a long green flag run, had to start in the back of the pack, stayed in the lead lap. I know that wasn't a win, wasn't even stage points, but that was huge to stay in the lead lap.
We ride along with Kurt Busch, and once again we saw about 3 or 4 rows back, Kurt Busch, he got that accordion effect where it seemed like everybody was trying to go, and then he had to check up. Look, he runs into the back of Clint Boyer.
Nice job, though, to get on the brakes as much as he did. This would be a great shot of it right here. I mean, if he does hit him, it's very light contact. There was an opportunity there for some heavy damage.
And this was 2 laps later. There's some more contact, but this time it was with the side of the 48. Keselowski chasing after Kyle Busch. It's almost a second between 1 and 2. That's about the largest gap that we've seen all day long between 1 and 2 at this racetrack.
So the gap between 1 and 2 has spread out a little bit, but one gap on the racetrack that's actually closed in, and Jeff, you and I talk about this every week, sometimes the toughest battle on the racetrack is for that free pass position. And currently, Casey Kane in that green and white number 5 holds the position, and Daniel Suarez in that orange number 19, he wants the position. They're battling for 14th, which is the first car 1 lap down.
Yeah, that's a battle deep in the field. Well, another battle within the field, and we spent a lot of time talking about playoff teams, but Clint Boyer, in the second half of this year, they have run so much better. He is having a solid day. Remember, early in the race, he was running very well, had a bad pit stop, went back into the mid-20s. He's clawed himself back up into 6th position. Nice day for Clint Boyer and his team.
And Jeff, it's been the relaxed Clint Boyer, relaxed enough to call play-by-play for the end of the last stage. Yeah, the 2, he really needs to win this race because he won't be as good at the next couple races. Crew chief agreeing, yeah, there may be a fight at the end of the day, haha, that kind of thing. So Clint Boyer very relaxed and running well at Martinsville.
That's when Clint's his best, right? When Clint's having fun, joking around, messing around. That's Clint. I mean, he's a fierce competitor, but he's got to be in the position where he's having fun and enjoying himself.
Logano trying to hold off the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Those 2 fighting for the 4th spot. Kyle Busch out front as we go NASCAR nonstop from Martinsville. Caution comes out for the 6th time at Martinsville. This time it's Kyle Larson. He was in 23rd position.
Looks like he can't turn left.
Yeah, you see right here, he's coming off from what I think is turn 2. He's underneath the 51 car. We've talked all day about how hard it is to get the pressure or the rear tires to hook up. You see he's in a big slide already. Continues to try to turn to stay off the 51 and basically spins himself out, really. You're going to see right here, it comes all the way around and makes pretty heavy contact. When you talk about Martinsville, that's pretty heavy contact with the inside wall.
All 8 of the playoff drivers currently in the top 10.
And Rick, as we thought, we had a whole bunch of cars take the wave around. There's now 24 cars in the lead lap, up from 14 just before this yellow. So a big change on how the lead lap cars look and how many there are. If you have a problem, you're going to lose way more spots.
And again, we see the 2 and 22 side by side for position. The 22 has cleared the 2 now. Here comes Chase Elliott in the 24, working on the 2 for that 3rd spot.
I almost get the sense that as this race has moved on these last few restarts, has the outside been as good? I almost sense that it started to go away a little bit.
And you got the 77 getting spun around off from turn 4 in front of everyone.
Yeah, it bottles up there in turn 4. Eric Jones sideways. And left rear damage to the 77.
You see it started with he and Jamie McMurray got together, and then
Cole Witt, that's 72.
Just a bottleneck. I mean, it's nowhere to go.
Well, and a big break for all of these cars that not only missed the accident, but most of these cars.
I mentioned the long shadows. It's starting to get a little bit darker here at Martinsville, and about a half an hour ago, the lights were turned on. This is the first time that there will be lights for a cup race at Martinsville. Green flag back in the air. Joey Logano this time fighting on the outside to get by that 18 for the lead, but once again, Kyle Busch is able to clear him. And now here comes the 24, fighting for the 2nd spot on the inside of the track. Chase Elliott now up to 2nd. Steve, we mentioned the fuel window. Over 150 laps, but probably under 160 laps. Around there, there's still 177 to go. They're still going to have to come to pit road at least one more time.
Yeah, I don't think this is the type of track that you're going to want to start to save fuel. It's going to all be about trying to get your car handling right on the next pit stop, as we see Chase Elliott makes a move to the inside of the 18 for the lead.
Looking for the top spot. Chase Elliott even goes up the racetrack a bit. The 18 moves out, trying to make sure there isn't any contact.
I'm not sure if he moved out or got moved out, but
I think it was the latter.
Chase Elliott, he'll lead that lap, and he's in front of the 18.
Now all of a sudden that bottom lane is turned into the preferred lane.
A little bumping going on now between the 18 and 22, fighting for that 2nd spot. 12 drivers have gotten their first career win right here, but it hadn't happened since 2001 and Ricky Craven. Chase Elliott is the only playoff driver without a career win.
I said the inside lane was the preferred lane, with Joey Logano just past Kyle Busch using that outside. I think Kyle Busch's car has gotten away from him a little bit. He does not look as good as he did the run before.
We talked about this, Rick. The track will change. Well, now it's starting to shift. You just said the lights are coming on. The sun, the angle of the sun is changing. The color of the concrete is changing just because of the tires that have been running on it. So now the 18 has fallen back. The 24, who hasn't been a bad car inside the top 5, but now he's moved forward.
And Steve, we mentioned a moment ago too, Kyle said on the radio after the end of that last run, I didn't do a good job of keeping up with the racetrack as it changed. So yes, track is changing as Brad Keselowski completes that pass. So as we're winding down here in the final stage of this race, we have 171 to go, Steve. 3 sets of tires for all these leaders. So that's getting a little dicey as well. You're gonna have to manage that as a crew chief. Make sure you manage when you take on those tires, those final 3 sets.
Yeah, Chase Elliott's still looking for his first win, but it was when he got passed for the lead at Dover a few weeks ago that his crew chief Alan Gusson said got him a little bit ticked off, and now the mild-mannered driver a little bit edgier. He says he's definitely been more aggressive since then, something he really likes to see out of the young Chase Elliott. Marty?
Kelly, we've talked about the must-win for Brad Keselowski, now stalking Chase Elliott for the lead late here at Martinsville. This is the same car that Brad won with here in the spring, and that car has not been on the racetrack since then. Paul Wolf built this car for Martinsville. It's sitting in the corner of the shop at Team Penske and hasn't run since then. He wanted a little bit more of that last adjustment on this stop to give him more forward bite from the center of the corner off, especially late in the run. We'll see if that pays off for Brad Keselowski and gets him back to the lead.
And we've seen this all day. There's been a few instances where 1 and 2 weren't right next to each other, but for the most part, they've been battling the entire day around this racetrack. It's been different players. It's been Kyle Busch. It's been Brad Keselowski. Different drivers have been up front. Joey Logano. Now it's Chase Elliott trying to hold off Brad Keselowski, but for the most part, we've always seen Brad Keselowski fighting toward the end of a stage or a long run to get up front and get the lead. And once again, it seems like the long run car of Keselowski has been very competitive once they get 50, 60, 70 laps into a run.
Yeah, the team that I'm a little surprised about is the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. You can see he's running 13th with a lot of pressure from Dale Earnhardt Jr. to try to take that spot. And, you know, they used really good strategy early in the race to have a good finish in the first stage, but they have not had the pace that you've come to expect from a 9-time winner at Martinsville.
Caution has come out, the 38 involved. Could be more as that's in turn 2. Also the 34. So Landon Castle and David Reagan in turn 2 bring out the 8th caution of the day. David Reagan in the 38 was in position to get the free pass, but he had to stop because of the accident. I don't know if he'll still get it.
Well, the 13 and the 38 got together, and the 34 was the victim of their contact.
Gordon, a couple years back at the final race in Homestead.
One car you don't see up towards the front, Kevin Harvick in this 4 car is going to restart all the way back in the 8th row in the 16th position. Had a very slow 18-second pit stop, had some trouble on an air hose, so a lot of spots lost by Kevin Harvick.
Truex Jr. back up into the hunt as he runs second behind Keselowski.
They mentioned spots lost with a 24 car. And they lost two spots on pit road, came in with the lead and came out 3rd. So now on this restart, he's falling back to 4th. So what a quick change of events, you know, go from leading the race to running 4th in a few minutes. And how about Denny Hamlin? How about that drive? Now racing Boyer for 5th.
Kelly.
If 5 Martinsville wins for Denny Hamlin, who was asked about his success, he believes that there's just one way around this track to be successful. The only problem is that several guys now have figured out what that one way is for Denny. Hey, one other quick note, you saw that shot of the spotters. Well, his spotter, Chris Lambert, celebrating his 43rd birthday today. He would like nothing better than a grandfather clock, and crew chief Mike Wheeler promised to buy him one for his birthday should they get to victory lane.
That's a pretty impressive birthday gift if he's able to finish that out. It'd be the 6th time that Denny Hamlin would be able to win here at Martinsville, as we see the 24 now sliding underneath the 18. That's for that 3rd spot.
This 18 just does not have the race car that he had earlier in this race. This is not making speed to the center of the corner.
But the 24 again looks impressive. Here comes Joey Logano. He looks to the inside of Denny Hamlin. .127 laps to go.
clean Denny Hamlin's car is. After starting in the back of this pack, working his way up, doesn't appear to have very much damage whatsoever. A little bit of rub on the left rear quarter panel. Other than that, very clean.
You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Martinsville Speedway. Only 71 laps to go. Chase Elliott out front has a 1.2 second lead over Brad Keselowski. Kevin Harvick running in the 12th spot.
See, the 17's gotten in front of the 4 car. Well, here's how it happened. The 4 got into the back of the 21. We've seen these two race.
Again.
Yeah, the 21 just, we saw that earlier with somebody else just kind of brake checked. The 17 took advantage of it.
17 was able to get by the 4 and put a little bit of a buffer between the two that have banged and beat against each other the whole time. Look at the playoff leaderboard on the left side of the screen and the points. Because Chase Elliott is up front, you see him at the top of the chart as the race leader, but then look at the points difference.
Yeah, the 24 basically is one of those cars that should be right down around the bubble on total points earned, but because the win is the automatic berth into Miami, that moves him to the top, and because of that, a big gap between Brad Keselowski and Kevin Harvick. So this win not only would be huge for Chase Elliott, first ever win, guaranteed spot in Miami, but you see what type of complexion it would leave for the next 2 races to try to make it to Miami in that championship run.
In order for this win to happen, assuming we don't get another caution, the lap traffic is going to play a huge factor. Right ahead of Chase Elliott is a long line of lap cars, or cars that are trying to stay in a lead lap route.
Right, you've been coming here for years and years and years. Do you think we can complete 66 laps without another caution?
Well, I see lights on. I've never seen that at Martinsville before. And I actually lost a race here once. Actually, Steve was working with Jeff Gordon, and I was driving a 99, and Jeff and I had a great battle, and we were racing each other for forever. It was a huge run, and we weren't paying attention to John Andretti. He snuck by us and got the win. So I've seen this race end on a long run.
But here's
coming up on Reed Sorensen in that 15. He'll go by him. But as you mentioned, now Jimmy Johnson on the lead lap and in the playoffs.
See right there?
Yeah,
still right in the middle of the corner. Jimmy Johnson just no fight whatsoever. See, that's still smoking. That just concerns me, Steve. At some point, that tire cannot continue to take that.
Well, currently 85 laps in this green flag run. The longest run today was 122 laps, and who, by the way, benefited? The 2 of Brad Keselowski. Remember, he passed Kyle Busch in the closing laps of that stage. So, as you mentioned, Rick, with 47 to go, if this runs green, this will be the longest green flag run today. You have to ask yourself, does that favor the 2? Will his car continue to get better? Although Chase now has pulled up not only a little gap on Brad Keselowski, but now Brad has pressure from the 18 of Kyle Busch.
Will the tire hold out? That will be the big question for the 24 right now if a caution doesn't come out. Marty?
And Rick, just think about who's in front of Brad Keselowski. Casey Kane, Jimmy Johnson, teammates of Chase Elliott. I think they're going to make it hard on him. Here goes Kyle Busch looking for second. He said a moment ago, this is all I've got. Loose on entry, loose on exit. But it looks like he's going to get second here from Keselowski, Rick.
A little bit of contact there as they went through the turn. Yeah, Racing Nice right now is out the window. They're going for spots. And these 2 are going to go door to door once again as they dive into the turn.
2 is able to continue to hang on to that outside. Eventually you'll see the 18 car not be on the bottom of the racetrack in the middle of the corner. He'll just run Keselowski out of the line and take that spot.
Well, Chase Elliott is loving to hear this. I'm sure he's probably not looking in his mirror that much, but he is just gapping himself now. 1.6 seconds, and we have a yellow on the racetrack.
Caution has come out. The 66 of Carl Long up in turn 2. 43 laps to go. Crew chief?
Oh, you pit. There's no doubt. You must have new
everybody
tires.
On the lead lap?
Yes, everyone on the lead lap. There's 16 cars. Everybody will come to pit road. But remember, last time, the 24 lost 2 spots. The 18 of Kyle Busch currently in second. Their pit crew has been outstanding today. Remember the decision Joe Gibbs Racing made at the beginning of the playoffs. Very controversial. We're going to swap pit crews. Take the 19 pit crew, give them to Kyle Busch. A little bit of a rocky start, but they stuck with him. They supported him, and they have been outstanding today. This is the moment they could justify that entire decision. Give Kyle Busch the lead, give him the golden ticket to Miami. That decision weeks ago could pay off today.
Does the 24 take extra time to pull the left rear quarter panel out? Or do they feel like it's clearest enough? You see Carl Long around as he came in the screen, but that's a question I don't know how to answer. I don't know what to do in that situation. Jimmy Johnson, by the way, got the free pass, but hard impact for Carl Long.
The history of restarts for the 24. This one's a great one. Chase Elliott has been strong on the short runs here at Martinsville. He was even able to go a little bit longer on that last run and hold off the 2 of Brad Keselowski. Now he's going to have to do it for 35 more laps.
And the difference here, Rick, is the crew chiefs knew it was going to be a short run. So what did they do? Did they change air pressure or chassis? You always talk, Jeff, how bad they drive on low air pressure. They can make changes to help that, knowing they only have to go 30-something laps.
Chase Elliott's gotten slow in the middle of the corner right there. Keselowski ran him down in one corner. Chase could not hold the bottom. Keselowski into the back of the 24.
Bumper into the back of the 24 by Brad. Good battle back there for third behind these two. The 22 of Logano holding off the 18, and once again contact made. Keselowski into the back of the 24.
Now he's just looking. He knew he wasn't clear. That was more of a look just to say, hey, Chase Elliott, here I am. And that's what these bumps are in the middle of the corner. It's just to put the pressure on him, trying to make the young driver make a mistake.
He needs to be flawless for the next 33 laps. In 33 laps, they're going to catch the back of this field, too, so that's going to come into play as well.
And Rick, we've seen a lot today where the leader or the lead car can give the bottom up, just focusing on the top. But I think if you do that this late in the race, that bottom car is just going to hit you in the left rear and go by you.
Ran a little bit higher there, and once again, a little pressure from the 2.
I think Keselowski's a little faster than Chase Elliott right now. Keselowski changed up his attitude right there, entered the corner higher, trying to leave lower on exit.
Logano now giving pressure to the 2 of Keselowski. Logano way up the racetrack. That opens the door for the 18.
The 2 has a run, though, Rick.
Bottom.
Here he comes. Keselowski looking to the inside. Elliott has to go up to the second line. Keselowski making contact. Side by side again. Coming through 3 and 4 up the racetrack. Keselowski pushes the 24 up. And Brad has the lead that time by. Chase not giving up on that outside line. Now falls in behind the 2. What will he have for him for the final 29 laps? Marty.
And Rick, you can see how aggressive Brad Keselowski was being. They was reminding him, listen, the 22 is coming behind you. We don't have time to waste here. And a great point about the short run. That's what Paul Wolfe told Brad. He said, I set the air pressures back to what they were at the start of the race. Remember, we had a competition caution 45 laps in, so some savvy thinking by Paul Wolfe for the short run to the end. But Chase Elliott's not done, is he, Rick?
Not at all. And we heard earlier that Alan Gustafson was impressed with how aggressive his driver was being. Look at this. He's putting the bumper to the 2 now, trying to take that lead back away.
We saw Keselowski putting the bumper to Chase Elliott. Well, guess what that was? That was a permission slip to do the same. He fills the hole.
And now you get some tire rub once again. Is it on the right front or the left rear? Right front of the 24, left rear of the 2. Bumper again to the back of the 2. How hungry is Chase Elliott? He wants that first win so bad.
Chase Elliott's got a difficult situation because he has Joey Logano behind him. So Chase Elliott really can't change his lane. He can't go in the high lane, try to turn underneath Keselowski, because if he opens the door for Logano, he's going to take it. Kelly.
And Alan Gustafson loves to see this aggression out of his driver, Chase Elliott. He says he's become a bit edgier as of late. Well, Chase came over the radio a couple of laps ago to say that he was just way too tight. Alan reminded him to use that track bar, use his tools inside the cockpit, and they said, hey, we got plenty of time to go to get him back.
Rick, it was well documented. The 2 of Brad Keselowski said Talladega in the round before this was a must-win. When they went there, they did it. They advanced to the round of 8. Coming to Martinsville, The 2 said this is a must-win. We don't feel we can do it at Texas or Phoenix, and here he is again, 23 to go, leading under the lights at Martinsville.
With this many laps to go and only having run the few laps that have been run, 13 laps on this run, it concerns me that Chase Elliott said tight. That concerns me because that problem normally only gets worse. You can keep running that track bar up in the air, but it can only do so much. I don't like hearing that he's tight.
There's only so much he can do. You mentioned that he could change his line if he didn't have as much pressure from the 22. Well, now there's a couple car lengths between the 24 and the 22, or at least 2 car lengths now. Does that give him a little more freedom to try to choose a different line?
100%, and that's what he has to be trying to do, and he will be. The problem with a tight race car, the reason I said I didn't like it is because I talked about earlier in the race how the car that points the quickest and changes direction the quickest, that's the guy that can go in the throttle the soonest. Well, if you can't get the car pointed, you have to wait on the throttle. You have no choice. And you can see the 22 Logano, now he's putting pressure because the 24 Chase Elliott is just not rolling the middle of the corner.
And Rick, look what this change in the lead has done to the playoff picture. The 2 is now the leader. He is in. He looks like he's going to make it to Miami with this win if he's able to hold on. And now the 24 all the way down to only 4 points above the cut line.
And remember, that used to be 35 points that separated the 2 on the cut line. Now it's just 4 points. And again, we're guaranteeing that one driver will get into the championship 4 based upon points.
But right now, Chase Elliott, you have come so close to winning several races, and it just hasn't worked out. But you have to assume that that race with the 22 is for the win. That has to be your mindset, is race that 22 like that is going to be the win, because you never know what's going to happen in these races. You might catch the 2 car in lap traffic. The 2 car might have a tire going down, something. You got to continue the fight against the 22.
Well, yeah, definitely remember the fact that there was contact made between the right front of the 24 and the left rear of the 2. Maybe that splitter cut the 2. We've seen a left rear go down. Jamie McMurray knows exactly how that is. If there is some damage to that sidewall of the tire, potentially it could go down. And as you mentioned, this could be the race for the lead.
And the battle behind these guys with the playoff cars is unreal. You have Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and Ryan Blaney, all nose to tail and running inside the top 7.
What a great battle it has been all afternoon long here at Martinsville. And now the fight for second between Joey Logano and Chase Elliott, as about 0.8 of a second separate Keselowski and Elliott. Once that contact was made and Brad Keselowski was able to get by, it seems as though something with the 24 just isn't as good as it was the last run and the few laps that were run after the restart this last time. Marty.
Hey, Rick, you know, Jeff has always said that he never thought drivers could drive harder than they did when he was behind the wheel. But in this elimination format, Jeff, I think you'll agree, we have seen drivers rise to the occasion. We've seen Kevin Harvick win at Phoenix and win at Dover. Brad Keselowski win at Talladega. And while this was not a must-win for the 2 team, if they can hold on for 13 more laps in a crazy battle back there for 3rd, it will be a win that they did need. And they proved once again, when they said they needed to do it, they could do it.
Big contact right there. The 18 trying to force his way in, got into the 22. Those 2 got sideways. A lot of smoke coming out of the back of the 22 now.
And this left rear tire can affect the whole field. If it goes flat and the 22 spins out, the yellow will come out and decisions will have to be made.
The gap between 1 and 2 is 1.4 seconds now. Keselowski has that big of a lead. Now the 11 all over the back bumper of the 22, trying to take advantage of a wounded Joey Logano.
And how about the 11? What a recovery. Jeff, you talked about earlier in the race. He was battling the 22, the 2, and the 18 to stay on the lead lap, and here he is passing for the 3rd position.
Denny Hamlin fighting his way back up into the top 3.
This left rear tire on the 22 could be very costly to Brad Keselowski. If that tire goes flat, that lead of Brad Keselowski's will evaporate.
Under 10 laps to go. Smoke still coming out of the 22. How long will that tire last? Now Martin Truex Jr. is going to get by him.
Yeah, the way he's falling back, I'm not so sure it's not got a little bit of air coming out of it now. He has lost a lot of speed. Remember, he was battling for position, and now he just cannot keep the guys behind him. There it is.
And around goes the 22.
Guys, hold on.
Caution comes out. Under 9 laps to go at Martinsville, and there'll be a restart. Short track racing at Martinsville. 4 to go. '24 with a great restart. Up the racetrack he goes. Side by side for the lead down the backstretch. Way up the racetrack goes Chase Elliott. He opens the door down below. Here comes Denny Hamlin. Elliott has the lead, but Hamlin looks to the inside. Elliott diving, trying to block. Down the backstretch again. Less than 3 to go. The bumper to the back of the 24. Elliott goes around. Hamlin takes the lead, and the caution comes out.
Get it going if you can. Get it. Definitely wrecked me.
Denny Hamlin had the bumper to the back of the 24 a good 100 feet before they got to turn 3.
You see right here, Denny Hamlin all in the back of the 24.
Hamlin has chosen the inside line. Kyle Busch on the outside. Hamlin surges ahead. Clearly out front. The 18 running second. Truex in third. Now here comes Boyer fighting back on the inside. A little bump there out of the 18. Side by side as they come back to the stripe. White flag in the air. Kyle Busch on the inside. Kyle Busch up the racetrack. He moves the 11 up. Here comes the 78 of Truex Jr. Into the final turns. Martin Truex Jr. has never won on a short track. As he comes out of 4, it's a drag race. They wreck behind him. Kyle Busch will win.
Yes, sir. Checkered.
Big wreck on the front stretch. A parking lot right in front of the grandstands. Ambulance coming out to take a look at some of the cars if they're not able to continue to roll. I know Kurt Busch is right now still just sitting, and now he starts to roll. So everybody rolling well with the exception of the 18, the race winner, Kyle Busch, who now has guaranteed a spot in the championship 4. Let's look how he did it.
It's a good restart. Launches very well. Pretty much has the 18 cleared. 18 makes a good run on the outside. Looks like he's in great shape right here. Gets in the corner, just does not stay on the bottom. 18 gets into the left rear quarter panel. Opens the door. Now they're side by side into turn 1. The 18 runs the 11 up the racetrack. 78 has the hole open for him now.
And this right here, I thought it was the 78's to take right here. He drives deep in the corner, but the 18 gives him plenty of room. Wants to make sure there's no contact, leaves him almost a lane and a half. Runs the outside of the racetrack, carries that momentum to the line, and they basically, the rest of the field wrecks behind it. It starts right here with Blaney and the 11 getting together. A hard hit by the 41 in the distance.
Kevin Harvick going around across the start-finish line backwards in 5th.
Take a look at this. It looks like the 24 of Chase Elliott. Now you're seeing it. 24 and the 11 having a difference.
And you can hear the crowd.
Chase Elliott, once again so close to his first win in the Monster Energy Cup Series. Denny Hamlin fighting for a spot in the championship 4. Just after the checkered flag came out, going down the backstretch, you see the 24 showing his displeasure and how he was raced by Denny Hamlin. And then it was time to talk about it.
Chase Elliott, you wrecked me, clearly. That's what he's saying. So Chase Elliott, I'm not sure I feel any differently. You know, I had to lead, and somebody had me jacked out from behind, and I'm sure Denny Hamlin's going to say he didn't expect Chase Elliott to slow down, but if you're Chase Elliott, what are you supposed to believe?
Look at all the torn up race cars. The cars you're seeing in a line here are all the playoff cars. They're all going to be looked at. I'm guessing right now not a lot of them will fit in any of the templates. And you're hearing the crowd in the background.
Chase Elliott has become a fan favorite. We heard at Talladega when he took the lead, and the crowd erupted, almost as if Dale Jr. taking the lead.
Let's go down to Dave.
Let's get Denny Hamlin's side of the story there. Racing hard for the win here. Denny, what happened?
I got in the back of him and he spun out, but trying to get a race win, but you know, it's everybody wrecked everyone there at the end. It was complete, you know, bullshit chaos, and just I got in the back of him and he spun out, and somebody got in the back of me and I wrecked too. It was a mess at the end. I mean, no, everybody was doing the exact same thing. I hate it for his team. I understand they're you know, had a win for a long time coming, but this is a ticket to Homestead, and I'm not sure, you know, I'm not sitting here saying that I wrecked him on purpose, and I tried to move him out of the way and he spun out.
What did you see rolling into that corner, Denny? I mean, do you feel like he just didn't make the corner and you had too much mo?
Well, he didn't make the corner because I had his back end jacked up, that's for sure. But I was extremely loose. I got in there too hot, and I got in the back of him.
All right, Denny Hamlin with a wrecked race car walks away here, Kelly.
All right, so we'll hear from Chase now. Chase obviously unhappy. Denny just said, you know, he just got in there too hot, got into the back of you. How did you see things?
Yeah, well, you know, he come over and talked to me on the back straightaway, and funny thing was, he said somebody was pushing him, and wasn't 2 car lengths between him and the next guy. So my mom always said, don't say nothing. You don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So he's not even worth my time. We're going to go on to Texas.
What does it mean to hear this crowd as they were booing Denny, and now you hear the cheers as they see you on the screen?
Well, it's just unnecessary. I mean, we had a clean restart. Brad and I were racing hard for the lead, and there was no one pushing him into turn 3. So I wanted to see the replay. That's what I thought happened, and that's what happened. And it's definitely 100% unnecessary and uncalled for.
You've come so close so many times now to winning. How do you wrap your head around losing one this way?
Well, you know, we had a great car today, and we had an opportunity, had a good restart there at the end, and felt like I was doing what I needed to do. And, you know, I can't control his decisions and whatever the hell that was. So, on to Texas.
Thank you, Chase.
Yep.
And once again, we will apologize for the language, obviously in a live sporting event, and you can see the emotion that these drivers are feeling. There's a different kind of emotion in victory lane right now. Let's go there to run.
Confetti and Monster Energy going everywhere. Kyle Busch, that was a crazy finish to this race. How did you do that?
I don't know. It's just a lot more attention on everybody else than us right now. So
it's just a great win for this whole M&M's Halloween Toyota Camry. Awesome to get to victory lane here at Martinsville. You know, I wanted to win Charlotte, Martinsville, and Homestead, and that'll make us this year's champions. So we've got one of the three, and we'll be working on more. That's really classy. Thanks. Thanks for that. So just want to say our guys did an awesome job preparing this car. We weren't the best all day, but we put ourselves in the right spots there at the end, and there was kind of chaos ensuing, and none of it was our fault. We just came out on the right end of the stick, you know. So can't say enough about NOS Energy Drink, Cessna, DVX sunglasses. My son Brexton's at home. He's not here with us this weekend, so I want to say hey to him. We'll see you later tonight, buddy. And looking forward to going to Homestead.
Kyle, to know you punched that ticket to Miami, the grandfather clock under the lights at Martinsville, it changes these next 2 weeks for you.
Oh, it certainly does. Yeah, we can go out there and race for wins and try to get more, of course, and just let everybody else have to worry, you know, and not give them a chance to breathe and get their heads on their shoulders going into that week at Homestead.
What were you thinking that final restart? Did you see things playing out the way they did?
No, I wanted to get a better restart and pinch Denny down a little bit, but it actually kind of worked out better for me that he got ahead a little bit, gave me a gap, I got down, and he got into turn 3 and just pushed up the racetrack, and I knew I had to plug that hole right away because I was just going to get beat on from behind. So I got up in there and rooted him out of the way a little bit. We dragged race down the front straightaway, and getting into one, I just wheel hopped, chattered the rear tires, and was sideways getting in there trying to calm it down with the brakes and everything else, but was able to get through there luckily somehow, I don't know how, and beat Truex off of turn 4 back to the start-finish line.
Congratulations, buddy.
Awesome, thank you.
That's Kyle Busch. Punched his ticket to Miami, guys.